My name is Mark. I'm a bookseller here at Powell's Books in Portland, Oregon. I'd like to encourage you to check our lineup of upcoming virtual and real events at powells.com. We've got lots of things coming up in the next few weeks, and you can sign up for our weekly events email at powells.com, or you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Tonight, we are delighted to welcome AJ Jacobs. AJ is a journalist, lecturer, and human guinea pig, self-described. You may have read one of his best-selling books, which include Drop Dead Healthy and The Year of Living Biblically, which mix memoir, science, humor, and a dash of self-help. He has written for the New York Times and Esquire, among others, and was once the answer to one down in the New York Times crossword puzzle, which is not only a testament to a certain level of fame and or infamy, but also a perfect segue to the book that the author is talking about today. It is called The Puzzler, One Man's Quest to Solve the Most Baffling Puzzles Ever, from crosswords to jigsaws to the meaning of life. The New York Times calls it fascinating and a romp, both fun and funny. And the book has fans from both puzzle lovers and puzzle haters. Gretchen Rubin, best-selling author of The Happiness Project, says, even though I've never attempted the New York Times crossword puzzle or solved the Rubiks Cube, I couldn't put down the puzzler. I'll never look at a jigsaw puzzle or a sudoku page the same way again. And Mary Roach, best-selling author of Fuzz, Bonk, and lots of other books with one-word titles, says, as a devotee of crosswords, anagrams, and AJ Jacobs, I knew I would love this book. What I did not anticipate, the Soviet camping puzzle, the Ellis Island jigsaw, a visit to CIA headquarters. Most puzzle books are all brain. This one has heart. As Jacobs learns with his singular performance at the World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship, puzzles bring us together as families and as earthlings. Even better, they bought AJ Jacobs gobs of grade A fodder for another charming, funny, winning book. So many things mentioned there that we should ask about in the Q&A. Soviet camping puzzle, CIA, and so on. Joining AJ in conversation, we are delighted to welcome magician, puzzle creator, writer, and producer David Kwong. He is the author of the book Spellbound, frequently contributes to the New York Times crossword puzzle, along with Will Shortz, and has created illusions and puzzles for TV and film productions, including Now You See Me, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and The Imitation Game. Like I say, we have a Q&A tonight. Please use the button at the bottom of the screen, Q&A, to type your question. If someone has typed one you really like, you can also upvote it, get it to the top of the list. I'd also like to say, if you order a book with us, if you order AJ's book with us, you'll get a book plate sent with your order with AJ's signature. But AJ has also said, if you email him at aj@ajjacobs.com, I'll say that again, aj@ajjacobs.com, and we'll put that in the chat so you can see it. He will send you a signed book plate. So that's enough of me talking. Please welcome AJ Jacobs and David Kwong.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming. And thank you, Powell's. I love Powell's. I wish I were there in person. And I wish I could see people, but I'm looking at the chat. So
you got a lot of fans here in the house.
Yeah, it's lovely. And speaking of fan, I am so grateful that David is doing this with me. I am a huge fan of David's. Not only am I a huge fan, but my whole family is a huge fan. We had my dad's birthday party was at David's show. We all came to David's show and we had a great time. That was one of his, the Enigmatist. It was in New York City and it was sort of a magic / puzzle show and it was mind blowing. So I am really psyched to have David here. Thanks, David.
My pleasure. Great to see you. So this is exciting. I mean, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
It's a celebration of everything that we puzzlers love, and it sounds like some people hate, kind of love to hate.
Well, there is an element of sadism in puzzles, but hopefully it's friendly sadism.
And as I'm going through the chapters, I'm just saying, I love this thing, I love this thing, I love this thing. It's great that you're covering all these chapters are all the different puzzles that we love. How did this book come about? Let's start with that. And I'm saying, people are saying some really nice things in the chat. Oh, hello from Los Angeles. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm in LA. You can see from my afternoon sunlight coming through.
And I'm in New York, so there is no sunlight. This book came about, well, the origin story is I've always loved puzzles since I was a kid. I come from a puzzle-loving family. My parents, I say in the intro about how they, when my father was stationed in Korea after the war as a lawyer, they would, and my mom was in the States, they would mail a crossword puzzle, a New York Times crossword puzzle, back and forth from Korea to the States, and each one would fill in a clue and then send it back. So it was the least efficient way to fill in a crossword puzzle, but I think very romantic. So I inherited this love of puzzles, and I decided to write the book partly because I had a sort of an instigating event, which was about 5 years ago. As was mentioned, I was the answer to a clue in the New York Times crossword puzzle.
That's the dream. That's the dream for so many.
I thought so. I mean, the clue was author AJ blank, and it was, and like you said, I thought it was the Holy Grail. You know, the birth of my kids was pretty good, but this was amazing.
You've made it.
I had made, and then, but the twist is, then my brother-in-law emailed me, and he did congratulate me. I want that out there, but he also pointed out that I appeared in the Saturday New York Times crossword puzzle, and as crossword fans know, that's the hardest puzzle of the week. It starts out easy on Monday, and by Saturday, all the answers are, you're not supposed to know the answer. They're totally obscure. Right. So his point was, this is not a compliment. This is proof that you are totally obscure and irrelevant. So then I was crushed. I was, I was a roller coaster on the way down. The second twist and final twist is that I went on a podcast and I told that story, and it happened that one of your fellow crossword constructors was listening, a man named Peter Gordon. Yep. He decided to rescue me, and he put me in a Tuesday puzzle, which is much easier. You know, it's not Monday, but it's named, it's much more people like Lady Gaga. That's who belongs in a Tuesday. So I totally didn't belong, but Will Shorts let me through, and that was the true highlight of my life.
And that was a sort of a quip about what had happened, isn't that?
Oh, right? Yeah, that was the weird thing. It wasn't just I didn't even get into this in the book because it was too complicated, but it was not just my name. He decided to theme the entire puzzle to me. Yeah. And use my quote where I said something along the lines of, I feel like I'll be a 5-letter word starting with L and ending with OSER until I'm in a Monday or Tuesday puzzle. And that was the quote that was the theme of the puzzle. And I remember doing it because at that point I was doing it every night at 10 o'clock.
Oh, you didn't get a heads up it was happening?
No heads up.
That's great.
Oh, it was weird. I was doing it. I remember sitting next to my son, and I said to him, something weird is happening. And I thought someone had hacked into my computer and put up a fake crossword. And then I got an email from a friend like, did you see today's crossword? And I said, oh my God, this is real. And I was so freaked out that I couldn't finish the crossword. And, this was a Tuesday crossword. Usually, takes maybe 15 minutes. This one took me like an hour and a half because I was so frazzled that I couldn't, I just couldn't process it.
Railing is asking, what is the date of the crossword? Well, for those of you there's a great website called Crossword Info, and you can search these things very quickly. So
X-word info, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. So
it was, I remember, it was the December 26th, because I did it, I remember on Christmas, and I was like, this is a great Christmas present, even though I'm Jewish, I'll take it. And it was
December 26, 2017.
2017. So yeah, look at that, 5 years ago already.
You've been one across and one down.
There you go.
That might be, I bet you that's not a lot of people have that.
Well, that is very nice. I want to hear your origin story. How did you start as a constructor?
As a constructor, okay. Well, my mother's a history professor. My father's a biochemist. So I always say that's the math and verbal section of my house. So I played a lot of Scrabble with my mother and word games and bad puns, and always solving the crossword with her through childhood. And then when I was in college, I met a guy named Kevin Chosit, and we collaborated on our first one just after we graduated. It's it's an interesting story. We submitted a tricky theme, and Will wrote back, Will Shorts, our guru of puzzles. Oh, Neville's sharing it there. Thank you so much in the chat. Fellow constructor Neville Fogarty's shared your puzzle there. Neville, you can pull up this first one also, if you would be so kind, that Kevin and I wrote. And Will said it was so difficult that it had to be an April Fool's Day puzzle.
Oh,
my first puzzle Kevin and I wrote was a April Fool's Day puzzle, and it fell on a Saturday. So wow. It was an extremely difficult, well, not as hard as a normal Saturday, but it was really twisty. And that kind of started, I'm not the most prolific constructor. I've had over 20, but there are people that have had hundreds. And I always go for these tricky, really twisted, deceptive puzzles, which, you know, it shouldn't surprise you. I'm a magician, so I always try.
That's why we love you.
And I have hit for the cycle. I've gotten a puzzle on every day of the week.
Oh, that's good. So there's an official club.
There's an official club.
Love it. Well,
Thank
it
you
is
for sharing those. Look at that. You guys are great.
Yeah.
So Derek. Hey, what's up, Derek? Said another friend of mine who said my TED talk. We could jump to talking about that well. Sure. I don't want to take over this Zoom. I'll tell the story really quickly, then we'll get back to you. Okay. Will Shorts, who's so supportive of the puzzle community, which is what I love so much about all of you and you guys tuning into this and you supporting AJ and everything you mentioned in his book. Will was happy to be in cahoots with me. And when I gave my TED talk on puzzles and magic, he let me hide a message in the New York Times crossword for that morning. So it was timed with my TED talk. So I had everybody pull out the puzzle from underneath their seat and see a secret message hidden in there.
I love it. Well, he does seem, he's very cooperative. He lets people propose in the New York Times, a crossword. And there was another one with a happy birthday message. So it's,
now I pitched something to Will because I met the couple, there've been a few proposals, but the one that was really like front and center was Bill G to Emily. And I met them. I think they came to my show at one point, and it was a thrill to meet these crossword celebrities. And I pitched them this idea that Will did not like, but I thought it'd be funny for an April Fool's Day joke or something to have Bill G make a "I want a divorce" puzzle. They were down to do it, but I don't know. Will
that's funny. It's a little dark for Will. Yeah. Well, that is very funny. So one thing. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to ask you. I mean, we're in like a puzzle craze, golden age of puzzles right now. Like with Wordle and everything going on, this is the timing's perfect for your book, right?
Yeah, it was weird. It was very. Yeah. I started the book 3 months before the pandemic. So, and yeah, I'd always loved puzzles, and puzzles, of course, were big, but then came the pandemic and jigsaws. That was the first pandemic puzzle craze. And it was crazy. You know, you couldn't find a jigsaw puzzle. It was like hand sanitizer or toilet paper. They were out at the stores, and there were all these articles and celebrities doing puzzles. And then towards the end, you had Wordle, and Wordle was actually funny because the Wordle craze exploded after we had closed the book. But I saw how big it was, and I said to my editor, we got to get Wordle in somehow. Can we reopen the book? So she agreed to reopen, which is expensive. And I put the word Wordle in there. So now it reads in the intro which is true. At night, I do the New York Times crossword and Wordle.
Oh,
So
great.
that is my coverage of Wordle. So it's not the paperback will have more.
Well, there'll be a full chapter the next.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that it was a boom, and you know, I read all of these tweets about how it brought families together, it saved people's sanity, and I just thought it was great. And one thing that the book is partly a history of puzzles. So just to, as an overview, it's partly a history. It's partly these adventures I go on, like when I went to the World Jigsaw Puzzle, competed in the World Jigsaw.
Good timing. Karen just asked in the chat about, she wants to hear about that. Please.
Oh, well, I'll get to it, I promise.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to finish up this thought on puzzle crazes. And by the way, the other part of the book is there are actually a lot of puzzles, old and new puzzles in the book for you to fill out. But the puzzle, I love learning about the history of puzzle crazes because there have been throughout history, tons of them. There was one, the 15 puzzle in the 1880s was one of the first big crazes. This was, you ever see the?
Yeah,
yeah, it's a little sliding 4x4. You have to arrange them 1 through 15. And it was basically the Rubik's Cube of the day, because
and it was solvable. I'm trying to remember the story. Was it unsolvable?
Well, that's interesting. It was in half of the initial arrangements, it's unsolvable.
Yeah.
In half it is. And there's this famous guy that you talk about in one of your shows, Sam Lloyd. He was the Will Shortz of his day, but he was much trickier. He was like a little bit of a hornswoggler. And so he allegedly claims he held a contest and said that if you solved the 15 puzzle, he would give you $20,000, but he rigged it. So he put it in one of the positions that you couldn't solve it. So he never had to pay. So that was another big puzzle craze. But since you're a crossword constructor, one of the, of course, the biggest puzzle crazes was the crossword puzzle when it first came out in 1913. But as you know, the Times refused to print it. The Times was too snooty. They thought, they looked down on the crossword and did not print one until 1942.
It was a sinful waste of time.
Yeah. Oh, that's the best. I have a section in my book where I searched the archives of the New York Times for their coverage of crosswords, and it is hilarious because it's like a pestilence. That's one of the words they use. It's like the way we covered crack cocaine in the 80s. It was like it was causing divorces, prison riots. These are all real. Like they were worried about athletes not training. So I just thought it was hilarious. And then of course they did a 180 and they are now the paragon of puzzles. So that's why I bring it up, because I wanted to talk about puzzles. Are they a force for good, or are they, as the Times used to say, a pestilence? I, as you might imagine, believe they're a force for good, and I want to tell you a couple of reasons I think that. But first, I want to get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on puzzles as and their effect on?
I think they're a force for good. I think they're a way that we can literally connect with each other, especially if we're talking about jigsaw puzzles. And if you look at the jigsaw puzzle craze, if you look at the crossword puzzle craze, and you look at what we just lived through, these puzzles happen during times when we need this sort of distraction, and we need this entertainment, and we need something that we can crowd around the dinner table together and do. And the jigsaw puzzle, I think, was late 1800s, right? When it was, or is it earlier? I'm so bad with dates. John Spilsbury.
Yeah, he was a bit earlier.
A bit earlier?
Right.
It's tangrams. That's not as early as you think. That's the tangrams. But anyway, they didn't really take off until the Great Depression in the US.
Right.
And the crossword puzzle craze didn't take off until World War II, as you said. And there's a quote that I came across that I won't be able to remember, but it was I think Margaret Farrar saying, that the first editor of the New York Times crossword, that we need distraction right now. We need something to occupy our time as we are, I should find the quote, as we are fearing blackout hours from World War II.
Yeah, there you go. And now it's the same.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. There are 2 points I want to touch on. The first is just to reiterate what you said, which is I really think they are a unifying force. Families doing them together. And someone in the chat just mentioned this, that Josh Wordle, the inventor of Wordle, he talked about at the Crossword Puzzle Convention a lovely story about how there was a gay man whose family had ostracized him. And Wordle was what brought them together, like literally doing the Wordle. It was something they could agree on. And I saw it too on my Twitter feed. The usual fare of my Twitter feed is vitriol, uninformed opinion. It's just horrible. And then you had these yellow and green squares, and it was it was something that everyone could.
It doesn't matter
on.
what side of the aisle you're on.
Right. And there is, I talk in my book, there's actually scientific studies on this. If my mom is here, she's cousins with a great intellectual named Cass Sunstein.
Oh, and, yeah. I've read his book, Nudge. With Richard
of
Taylor.
course. Yeah, he's great. But he talks in one of his many books about how they do experiments to try to bridge the gap between liberals and conservatives. And one of the only things that worked was to have them cooperate in doing a crossword puzzle. So I do think, and then the second point, there's so many reasons I'm pro puzzle, but I'm only going to give one other here in the interest of time. Oh yeah, we're getting close. We got because we want to open it up. The other reason I think is just what I call the puzzler mindset, which is this mindset of curiosity about everything. And Quincy Jones, the great musician, he has a quote that he says, "I don't have problems, I have puzzles in life." So I love that because it's so much more inspiring. Like if you are looking at life as a series, if I hear about the climate crisis, I want to curl up into a fetal position. But if I hear about, let's try to roll up our sleeves and solve the climate puzzle, that is much more inspiring. And I try to see if I disagree with someone on politics, let's see this as a puzzle and try to figure out why we disagree. Why do we believe what we believe? So anyway, that is it. But I want to.
And if we miss your question in the chat, everybody, you can put it into the Q&A, and we'll get. Some people have already been doing that, and.
Well, the overall, I want to chat with David just for another couple of minutes, and then I'm going to show some historical puzzles, and then David's going to show some of his favorite crossword puzzles he's made and a couple other puzzles, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. So we hope to answer all your questions at the end. But I did want to say before we show our puzzles, I just wanted to do 2 things. One, answer the question about the jigsaw puzzle tournament that I went to, because as I said, my favorite part of the book was going on these adventures. So I went to the CIA to see Kryptos, which is this sculpture at the grounds of the CIA, which is an unsolved cipher. And there are thousands of people obsessing over it, even as we speak, trying to crack it. I had chess puzzle lessons from Gary Kasparov. I went to the MIT Mystery Hunt, which is like the Iron Man triathlon for nerds. I say nerd as a nerd myself, so I'm allowed to. But I also went to the jigsaw puzzle tournament, and I'll just tell you quickly how that happened. I talk about it in the book. Jigsaws were weirdly my least favorite genre of puzzles because I was a snob. I thought that they were not, they were not sophisticated enough. But I'm wrong. I was wrong. I'm a convert. I am an idiot. Do you like jigsaws?
I am a novice. The speed at which these professional competitive solvers put a jigsaw together is remarkable.
It is something that, well, that's what, so I did a search, and And on the 5th page of Google, there was this World Jigsaw Puzzle Championship. And there are all these countries that had signed up, New Zealand and Mexico and Japan, but no USA. So I said, on a whim, I said, I'll fill out the application and I'm sure I'll be screened out. Next day, I get an email saying, you are Team USA, congratulations. It starts in like a month and a half. So I recruited my family, my wife and sons as Team USA, and we flew to Spain, and we got there and there were 40 teams. You had all 40 countries, but like 100 teams. And you had 8 hours to do 4 big puzzles, like 2,000 piece puzzles. And it was remarkable. First, like we got crushed. We didn't finish last. We finished second to last. So I always have that. I always have that we beat Portugal. But it was it was fantastic.
Portugal, just one person with
bad eyesight. An embarrassment.
Yeah.
Well, it was what I loved about it was just seeing these people at the top of their game. It's like the LeBron James of jigsaws. And even if you think jigsaws are a little silly, to see someone so gifted, they practiced hours a day, and they had strategies like arranging them by shape, not just by color. So the 2 innies and 2 outies was here, and the 3 innies and 1 outie was there. And it was just fantastic. So we finished 1 puzzle, 1.5 puzzles in the 8 hours. These 4 women from Siberia finished all 4 puzzles in about 3.5 hours.
Wow.
There were rumors of doping among the others. There was a little but no, they were just fantastic. Their hands were flying, and it was wonderful to watch. And that's just one of the reasons that I became a jigsaw fan. There are other types of jigsaws that I talk about in the book that are so crazy hard and made of wood, and they're one of a kind. So those are also interesting. Can
you tell us about the puzzle contest in your book?
I would love to. And then I want to go to our slides, because I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen.
You collaborated with Greg Pliska, who many people here know as a puzzle creator.
Oh yeah. Okay. So basically, I collaborated with Greg to make original puzzles for the book. So he made 20 original puzzles. But then we also decided, I, as a kid, loved the book Masquerade, which you might remember. It was a picture book, a British picture book, and it had these beautiful illustrations with hints to an actual buried treasure somewhere in England. And it caused chaos. People were digging up yards and gardens all over England. This was the early 80s, looking for this golden treasure. It was a golden rabbit. And I loved it. I did not find the treasure, of course, but I figure if I'm doing a book on puzzles, I want to do the same thing, have this contest. So in the introduction to the book, Greg and I hid a code, a secret code. So you can find that if you go to thepuzzlerbook.com, thepuzzlerbook.com, all one word, that will give you access to the introduction. You don't need to buy the book. I would like you to buy the book, but you don't need to buy the book. And in that is a code, which if you crack it is a phrase. And if you put that phrase into the puzzlerbook.com website, you are then entered into what's called a puzzle hunt. And for those who don't know, this is an astounding, sort of underappreciated art form, where it's sort of like an escape room on bath salts. It's a series of puzzles that are challenging and mind-bending and fun. And so Greg and a team of other super talented puzzle makers have created dozens of these puzzles. And starting on May 3rd, one puzzle will drop every day, every weekday for a month. And if you solve all of those puzzles, you get entered into the final round. And the final round is a speed round. And if you win that, you get $10,000. So I actually took 10,000 out of my advance, and I was hoping it would be a loss leader. It may just be a loss, so we'll see. But I think that I'm so excited regardless, because it's going to introduce so many people to this puzzle hunt idea. And the
puzzle
puzzles,
hunt that's what the MIT mystery hunt is. Puzzle hunt on steroids. We got Eric Berlin here in the chat. I think he captained the team that wrote it this year, if I'm correct about that.
Oh yeah, Eric is in the, that's right. Eric is a legendary puzzle maker, and he was captain of the winning team from 2 years ago.
I'm not sure if he said truth to a legendary puzzle maker or.
And the puzzles, thank you for asking, Karen. The puzzles will be available forever. So even after the contest is over. But if you do want to be part of the contest, you should sign in sometime in May. You just have to finish all of the first round by the end of May. So please do check that out, because it is remarkable. And the puzzles are all about the history of puzzles. So it's very meta. It's puzzle hunt about puzzles. All right, so that's it. Now I wanted to, well, David, do you want to start by showing your stuff, or should I show my stuff?
Go ahead, show some of your stuff, and then I have some puzzles too that I can share.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go through this. It'll take probably 5 minutes. Then David will do his, and then we'll open it up to questions. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and hope it's not too glitchy. Here we go. Slideshow. Okay, well, the first one I wanted to show you was this, because I thought it was funny. This was the cover that we agreed on for the puzzler, and I put it up proudly on Facebook a few months ago, expecting people to be like, oh, that's really cool. Instead, I got tons of messages from the crossword puzzle community, because, as I'm sure David knows,
I know why.
It's not a real puzzle. There's 2-letter words. It's not symmetrical. It's a mess. Because, you know, the guy's an artist. He's not a puzzle constructor. And there's even a Twitter feed called Not a Puzzle that makes fun of puzzles like this. So I went and I begged my publisher, we need the cred in the puzzle community. So then they did this. So that's the final one. So thank God. Thank you for the art part. This is the first crossword puzzle ever, 1913 in the New York world. And it's actually, I included in the book, I did not find it very fun. It's not a very good crossword puzzle by modern standards. I mean, it's wonderful because it's the first, but it has repeat words, which is a no-no. It's got really this, the fiber of the Gomuti palm. That is, you know, that's obscure. The answer is DOH, D-O-H, which we all know the proper clue is something related to The Simpsons, but they didn't have that. Simpsons are old, but not that old. This was I have in the book. This is a wonderful crossword that helped save the free world. It was in the Telegraph, and it was a contest. It was they announced, if you can solve this in 12 minutes or less, then you should get in touch with this number. And it turned out that it was a recruiting tool by Bletchley Park, the British Secret Service that was trying to crack the Nazi code. And they were looking for smart people who could solve puzzles. So I love that puzzles can literally save the world. This is one of the puzzles I included. This is one of my favorite puzzles because it appeared in the Baltimore Sun last year. And it appeared, and it was a spot the difference puzzle. And you had to spot the difference. But unfortunately, the next day, they had to print a correction.
That's so funny.
Apologizing that they had, mistakenly printed the exact same puzzle. So my heart goes out to the thousands of hours that were spent looking for mistakes, for differences in this This is reference to, since I'm doing a contest, I looked at the history of contests. This was a crazy contest held in 1937 in the depths of the Depression by Old Gold cigarettes. And it was a series of 180 rebuses. And you had to figure out what the picture was representing. And this one is a sample puzzle. But it's Horace Greeley, Horace Greeley, the newspaper editor. So, but this was so huge. This was, they didn't, it was 2 million people, 2 million people. And the country wasn't even that big, as big as it is now, entered. Old Gold had to hire, I believe it was something like 300 people to go through the mail because they would get just thousands of answers every day. So I thought that was fascinating. In the end, it was won by a Navy pilot who figured them all out. This is another rebus, which was on the top of beer bottles. So that's, I don't know if people want to try. I can tell them. All right, you can look at it and you can guess in the chat, and I'll tell you later if you want. But this went on for about 20 years. This beer bottle rebus. I'm not going to go over these, but this is the internet has been a boon for rebuses because people seem to like them. It's very visual. It's kind of fun. It's easy. So I'll just give you the first one in the upper left. Would be, I'm not looking at the chat right now because I can't, but travel overseas. And then the other two, I'll let you figure out. I can answer them at the end. This I talk about in my section on visual puzzles, but it was one of my favorite puzzles growing up. It was Al Hirschfeld who would hide the word Nina, the name of his daughter, in his illustrations for the New York Times. You can see it in the hair, and the number at the next to his name means the number. And I believe the word Nina is often used in puzzle construction as like a little hidden image, like an Easter egg. This is a puzzle that I created. And you know what? I'm going to post this in the chat. I was going to go through it and do it with people, but I think that in the interest of time, I'm just going to post it in the chat, and people can do it or ask me about it later. And the same with this one. This I did want to mention, which is that my dad, who I think is on or was planning on being on, he's got a great eccentric mind, and he suggested that instead of page numbers in the book, that every page number was actually a puzzle. So the puzzle would lead to the page number. So you would have a puzzle with the answer 103, and that would be page number 103. The publisher thought that that was a nice idea, but also thought that it sounded like way too much work and too expensive. So I convinced them to do one. So this is page 28 on the left, but on page 29, instead of the number 29, you have a puzzle, which is the greatest number of pieces that you can make with, is that 7 slices? Yeah, I can't, it's very small, but yes. So I thank my dad for that little Easter egg in the book. And I wish we could have done every page as a puzzle. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to David so that he can share some of his puzzles. But again, I will happily answer the other puzzles later. Yeah.
That last page was you just showed was Rubik's Cube, which is a fun chapter in your book. I've been practicing the Rubik's Cube myself. I brought it. So the world's best is like 5 seconds now or something, right? It's really,
I believe it's 3.47 seconds.
Oh my Lord.
I know, it's insane. Yeah, I made
don't worry, guys. It's only going to be about 4 minutes here, but I'm just kidding. But this is a pretty good mix, right? I've learned as a magician to just kind of toss it up in the air and it finishes.
Oh my God.
That's probably about 1 second. So
you broke the record.
I broke the record.
That was great. I loved it. Thank you, David.
I'm going to share some puzzles from a show that I did, a virtual show called Inside the Box. Apologies and thank you to people who saw it. If you haven't seen it, I hope you enjoy these puzzles.
It's great, by the way. And is it coming back?
Probably not. I'm so happy to be out in the world doing live shows, as you know, the Enigmatist. But virtual isn't really going anywhere. So I suppose from time to time I'll be asked to do. I did 165 times during the height of the pandemic. It was fun. It was crazy. And I collaborated with Dave Shukan with almost everything. I work with Dave, and he designed a lot of these puzzles. So I got to give a shout out to him. Let me see if I can screen share. Let me see if I can get this going. Keynote. Let's go. Let's go back one. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. Coming up. Sharing screen to my. All right. So this first puzzle. Now, because I'm screen share, I can't see the chat. So AJ, you can call out people that get it right. Everybody at home, I encourage you to just fire your answer right into the chat. Show us how smart you are, all right? Combinations, the way this works is I will show you two images, and in between those images will be the name of a country. So if I were to show you kimchi and nachos like this, you might reason right in between there, that's the country of China. So there's an answer every time between those two images, you'll get a country, all right? Here we go. Fire your answer into the chat. First one coming up right here. What is this? What's going on? What are these images? Anyone got it?
We got a lot of Japans.
Oh, yeah, look at that. So quick.
That was fast.
You got the right
fast.
audience here. Ninja Japan is very nice.
Olivia B was the actual.
Olivia B, very good. Here we go.
One.
What about these? What's going on here? Yep.
We got. I'm just gonna wait for a couple seconds, but yes, we got him. We got him.
We got it. Levin makes
Lila Goldenberg was the first.
Very nice, Lila. Okay, here we go. Lila's a great answer for the New York Times crossword puzzle. Here we go. What are these?
Yep.
All right.
We got it. Iraq.
You guys are quick. Very good.
And
Iraq.
we have Kelsey.
Right, what about these two pieces of food?
Kelsey,
a delicious combination. Who's got this one?
Yep, that's right. We got it. I'm gonna wait a little just in case. Yes, it's Angola.
It is Angola. Very nice.
The winner was Neville Fogarty.
How about these two movies? I know there's some LA people in the house. Come on, Hollywood. Don't let me down.
I'm not. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. That one is all right. Yep, exactly. I think we got it.
One.
It was Neville again, but Powell.
Neville, nice. Catch Me If You Can adaptation makes.
Like Powell's Books is weighing in.
All right, okay, sure.
Are you allowed?
Of course, right. They don't know the answers. How about these two birds? Two birds, one country.
Yep, we got a lot. We got Guinea is Lila Goldenberg again, but also
Powell.
Stephanie Dietz.
All right, two countries.
Good work,
Make a country, guys. Get excited.
Oh, two countries make a country. Ooh. Yeah, you guys are quick. And it is. We got. Wait, I'm just gonna wait for one more. But yes, it is. Molly.
Panama Olivia makes Molly. Nicely done. All right.
Lila Goldenberg, Amber got it, and Andrea Simmons.
Love that. All right. Who's this fine gentleman? Who's this distinguished human being?
Oh, that's good. Look at that. We got it. Yep, it's Eritrea. Is that how you
that's right. Guy Fieri and Treadmill makes.
That
Eritrea.
Was good. Stephanie Dietz and Kelsey Newsy.
Stephanie Dietz. All right. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. That was puzzle number one. That's puzzle number one. Let's see what else.
Puzzle.
Spoonerisms. Who's excited about Spoonerisms? Okay.
I love a Spoonerism.
Spoonerisms look like this. You're going to answer both clues. The answer to the second clue will be a spoonerism of the first. Look at this. This means that the syllables are switched. Those opening syllables, those opening sounds, rather, is the way to say it. Razor blade goes to blazer raid. Those opening sounds are switched. Answer both of those clues and you'll get the Spoonerism. Here we go. Spoonerism number 1. Quarterback's goal on any village in Holland. Longer to type.
All right, I'm looking here. Yep, we got it.
Got
Touchdown and Dutchtown
Touchdown
by
and Dutch.
several people, but it looks like Stephanie Dietz was the first.
Nice, Stephanie. All right, very good. Here we go.
Lynn
Chinese food
Lewis,
utensils,
Owen.
flock baby birds.
All right, I'm waiting. All right, hold on. Yep, okay. That's it. We got it. Chopsticks and stop chicks.
So here we go. How about this?
Wait, I just got to announce who won. Lila and Christina and Amber. All right, good one. Oh, look at that. Stephanie's already out of there. My God, she's on. Stephanie Dietz. It's litter box and bitter locks.
Very good. So fast. Litter box, bitter locks. Here we go. Hobbies with binoculars, looking at the trees, chronic misspeller or mispronouncer.
All right. Oh yeah, we got it. Neville was the first with
Neville, nice.
Bird watcher and word botcher.
Botcher. How about this one right here? This is near and dear to my heart, of course. Song Lady in Half and Linking Rings, calamitous hodgepodge.
Yep, we got it. Who was that? That looks like Lila was the first with tragic mix, magic tricks and tragic mix. She didn't even write magic tricks. She's like,
mix.
You get the idea.
Here we go.
Right, Owen, good job, Owen.
Physical antics, general with the last stand defeated.
Yep, exactly. There it is.
Who's got this one?
Buster Keaton and Custer Beaton.
That's right.
Christina Harper. Nice work, Christina. Lynn Lewis also very fast.
AJ, do you know who gave Buster Keaton his nickname of Buster?
I do not, but I'd like to know.
Harry Houdini. Harry Houdini did that.
Oh, that's a good one.
You learned something tonight. Okay, here we go. This is my favorite one. Racehorse, typically what you need to stitch up a southwestern donkey.
I don't know it. Yes, we got it already. Let's see. Neville with, yes, thoroughbred and burrow thread.
Very nice. I think there's just one more.
Nice.
Here we go.
Neville.
John McCain's
and he gave you a
getting towed by a boat while wearing a chute.
There it is. Sarah Palin and Parasailing.
That's right. All right.
It's Kelsey Newsel who got it. Christina got it. Owen got it. Nice work, everybody.
So quick. Nicely done. Awesome. Well, I know that there's some Q&A where we can get to some more questions.
Let's do it. We've got
before we go, I wanted to share also.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I mentioned Dave Shukan, who's a great puzzle maker. He's a colleague of Eric's and some other people here. We made this deck of cards together. Beautiful deck of cards. It's a normal deck of cards, but we made puzzles inside of it. So if you solve these puzzles, it unlocks a puzzle hunt that Dave put together. So this is a really fun thing that you can pick up if you go to my website. We'll share that info for you. But if you like a puzzle hunt, it's a great one. It's a really great one. It's beautiful.
Awesome.
This is from the Enigmatist. I'll send you one.
Oh, yeah. Love the Enigmatist. Excellent.
Let's A some cues here.
Well, let's see. Josh Forsyth asks, were there any puzzles that you thought were cool? This is for me, but that just didn't make their way into the book? Oh, so many that I could have done like 18 books with the number of puzzles. And I did a whole chapter on geocaching. I don't know if people know what geocaching is, but it's like a worldwide treasure hunt. But there are these they're little boxes, and they're hidden all over the world, including in Antarctica, every continent. I'm pretty sure there's one on top of Mount Everest. It's just crazy what these people put. but I just couldn't make it work as a chapter. Okay, let's see. We recently lost a wonderful puzzling maverick, Don Rubin, whose weekly visually oriented real puzzles were widely syndicated in the 80s or 90s. Do you know his work, Don Rubin? I am not actually.
I don't, but
familiar.
with praise like that, I think I better check them out. That's
Yeah.
that's
All right. So Lynn asks about puzzles and poetry. Do you see a connection? Well, I think puzzles are related to all sorts of art. And there's great quotes from Stephen Sondheim talks about how a clue, a good crossword clue gives you the same joy as a great play. He talks about like the surprise, the element of surprise, and the crafting. And Nabokov also was a huge chess puzzle fan. He created chess puzzles, and he also talked about how, and he wrote a whole book on how chess, puzzles, and poetry are linked, much like what Sondheim said, that it's all about structure and surprise and tension and relief of tension. What do you think?
I think and for puzzle constructors, it's really the parameters that we have to obey that allow us to be the most creative, right? And poetry certainly has
constraints.
Yeah.
Constraints lead to creativity. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Greg Pliska, who did the puzzles for my book, he said he actually liked that I gave him so many constraints because I wanted him to do one puzzle linked to every chapter. So he had to do a puzzle about Japanese puzzle boxes, which does not translate very well onto the page because it's a three-dimensional wooden box. But he did a brilliant one for that. How awesome are escape rooms? Asked Josh.
Awesome.
I am pretty. The answer is I have a couple of favorite escape room facts. The first is that I interviewed tons of escape room owners, and apparently at many of them, there's this one guy who comes in every week with a different woman on a date, and he pretends that it's his first time at the escape room to impress her with how fast he can solve the NATO alphabet or whatever.
You know what? That's all right. And there's a code. I guess there's a code. You can't break that guy's illusion. You gotta.
No, yeah, they're like, I said, don't you tell the woman? They're like, no, he's our best customer. So yeah, I don't fully approve of that use of puzzles, but but the other,
at some point he'll be exposed when
there you go.
He turns a corner and ends up in an escape room unexpectedly and can't get out of it quickly.
The other escape room fact I learned from actually a fellow member of the C-Tech Astronomy MIT Mystery Hunt team who designs escape rooms. He said one demographic that loves escape rooms is nudists, because you can go, think about it. If you're a nudist, you can't go to a bowling alley or a movie theater, but you can go to an escape room. They lock the door, and then you can do your thing, take off your clothes, solve it, put on your clothes, and leave. So it's very convenient. Does the puzzle on the book's final cover have any special significance? It does not. It does not, Lila. But I think it is based on a real puzzle, just without the clues. Shannon McCombs asks, have there been any notorious feuds or surprising friendships caused by puzzles? I know a couple, but David, did you want to mention any?
I could tell you all day about feuds in the magic community. The puzzle community is a little warmer. I think
well, also friendships.
Yeah. I mean, you see the same names over and over again on the finals at the American Crossword Puzzle Tournament. I imagine they're all quite competitive, but they're all friends. I know everyone's quite supportive in that community.
Well, the ones that come to my mind are
look at that. Eric writes Timothy Park.
Oh yeah. Well, there was a big scandal in the Sudoku community because at one of the tournaments, I think it was 15 years ago, there was a notorious cheater who he had an earpiece with, and someone with a computer, and he did really well in the opening rounds, but then he got on stage with two other real competitors, and I guess his earpiece couldn't work on the stage for some reason, so he just stood there blankly like an idiot while the others filled it out, and then everyone was like, what's going on here? So he was exposed.
I think Will Shortz was running that, right?
Is that true?
I think Will suspected it, and Will, I don't know if he made him take off. I think he made him take off his hoodie or something like that, and then he was,
he was exposed. Well, I interviewed the other two competitors appear in the book, Tammy McLeod and Thomas Snyder, both great. The one historical feud was between Sam Lloyd, the one I mentioned earlier, the Will Shortz, but of the 1800s, and this British puzzle maker, I think it's Henry Dudney, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he hated Sam because Sam was always taking credit for puzzles that he did not invent, which is very sleazy. What is a career pathway for a puzzle creator? Well, David can definitely answer that.
There's a lot of different outlets, and you can, there's not a lot of professional puzzle makers out there, but there are people that do dedicate their lives to it, do remarkable work. And I come about it in a different way. I've managed to fuse together magic and puzzles and create something new. But I guess if I had one piece of advice, it's sort of along those lines, which is if you can cross-pollinate, something you're already an expert in, and with puzzles, and if you combine these things, what you're looking to do is put a fresh coat of paint on puzzle types, on things that have been around, make them fresh, make them original, make them new. The Enigmatist, I'm not shattering any records here with the puzzles that are, but I'm handing them to a new audience of people, and I'm broadening the audience of puzzle solvers. So I think if you can do that as a puzzle maker, you're on the right track. Do it. There are a lot of ways to do that. And social media.
Well, I also
TikTok, I don't even know what's going on there, but that's a great place to introduce a whole new world of people to puzzles.
Right. And as far as I can tell, in terms of creating a crossword, one thing that seems popular is to team up with someone who's already had puzzles in there as sort of your mentor. Lila says she wants to plug the indie puzzle scene for crossword puzzles. And even if it's not a full career pathway, there's a flourishing indie crossword community where you can self-publish on a blog. That's right. There's some wonderful ones like Incubator, which is for women and non-binary constructors. The AVCX Fireball Crosswords, which is by Peter Gordon, the guy who put me in the Tuesday puzzle. Josh asks, is the Enigmatist coming back live?
Yeah, and thank you for your kind word before, Josh. I'm working on another city. I'd like to keep doing it in a couple more cities. Hoping for Chicago, hoping for San Francisco, maybe DC, Boston. And I'm writing my next show as well. So I hope to do a couple more years of the Enigmatist in various cities and then hit you guys with something new.
Yeah, please go if it's in your town. And Neville, I'm afraid we have to wrap it up in a minute. But Neville asks, he said, AJ, I saw you co-wrote a cryptic crossword. What was that experience like? It was wild. I did write a co-wrote one with a brilliant constructor named Sarah Goodchild. And it was for the browser, which I highly recommend. It's like an online magazine, but it also has cryptics every week.
Great puzzle.
And cryptics, if you don't know, are I think they are mostly started in Britain, but they are crosswords, but so much trickier because they're all about wordplay, anagrams, homophones, spoonerisms. They are, and it took me like 2 months to even learn the language of cryptics, but I do think it's worth it. Especially try it with someone else who's a cryptic expert, someone who knows cryptics. Don't try it yourself, I would say. But watching Sarah put these elaborate word plays together, I co-wrote it in that I like helped 5% and watched her with awe and delight. But
they
it was
are the
so
best.
fun.
I think they are the best type of word puzzle out there.
There you go. Yeah, they're huge. The fans of cryptics are just very passionate. And yeah, there are people who say, I don't do regular American crosswords. They're not interesting enough. So how do you spell cryptics? Is CRYPTIC. They have them occasionally in the New York Times. In the New Yorker, they have them. The Browser. Am I missing anyone, David? They're in British papers, but those ones are so crazy.
They might also have them. There's a lot of great compendiums. You can get them right on Amazon.
Yeah, just do a Google, and I think that's it. Thank you. I'll let my 5th to 8th grade STEM girls know. They will love this. Well, I wish I could stay on, but we have to go because Powell's has got things to do. But yes, we loved the Chronicle. San Francisco Chronicle has cryptics. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you to all my family and my friends who I saw out there, Andrea. And thank you to Powell's. I wish I were there in person. It's such a wonderful bookstore.
Thank you.
And thank you to David. I forgot. Thank you, David.
Yeah. Thank you, David. Thank you, AJ. That was great. I'm thinking about Sarah Palin parasailing and nudists in escape rooms. And yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone for such an interactive chat and Q&A. That was great. Wish we could stay for longer. You can find books by both of our guests tonight, powers.com and out there in the world. Thank you for joining us, powers.com again, to see our upcoming events. And we'd love to see you all in person in the future. And AJ and David, we'd love to see you in Powell's at some point. So
I bought Dunninger's complete encyclopedia of magic at Powell's.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we have a good magic section. That's a fun section. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you again at some point soon. Take care.
Wonderful.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.